What's up, dads? Welcome to another episode of Dad Signal. I'm your host, Doug Wilson, fatherhood coach, leadership coach, emotional intelligence coach. All three, whichever one you want, there you go. We have an exciting episode today, a lot to talk about, so we're going to get right into it. If you are listening live, then welcome. If you're listening to the recorded version of this, welcome. We are available wherever you listen to podcasts. We're streaming live right now on YouTube. So if you're here watching, I'm not looking at the chat right now, but hello and welcome. Please, at any point throughout our session episode today, we love comments, we love messages, we love all of the interactions. The whole purpose of Dad Signal is to build a community of dads where we're all really just trying to become better fathers, learn from the wins and the losses, talk about our lessons learned, and just have a good time. I mean, it's a lot better when we're doing this together. So if you're listening live, drop a comment. If you're listening again to the podcast version of this or the recorded version on YouTube, feel free to comment. Drop a comment in there, just as live chats. All right, we love that. But you can also, if you want to reach out with any questions or anything like that, we do have our email now, DadSignalPod@gmail.com, that you can reach out to. But let's get this cracked off and going. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, it was our first episode. So we were able to kind of just talk through what you can expect from the show. We talk about our wins for the week, our highlights of the week, or maybe some dad losses for the week, and any lessons learned. And then as an emotional intelligence and leadership coach, I've been doing that professionally for, close to 10 years now. I love using a segment of this show to talk about a development topic, something to help us grow, right? Really something that we can action off of, which leads us into our challenge for the week. So the development topic kind of ties into the challenge, and then we meet up and we talk through, how did the challenge go? Did you learn anything? Was it too easy? Was it not, whatever? Was it too hard? So we will get right into that, but let's just dive right in. All right, so just like last week, we're going to kick things off with our recap. If you watched last week's episode, then you saw that I kind of teased that we were going for a little family outing to see Super Mario Galaxy. It had just come out, and we were all very excited to see it. It honestly exceeded my expectations, and that's saying something because my expectations were high. I kind of grew up playing the Super Mario Galaxy game, obviously all the Mario games, but Super Mario Galaxy is kind of up there for me. And boy did they deliver. This was good stuff. You see some pictures there. We got the wifey over here with my daughter Avery, and they're sporting their Mario themed nails. Gotta have the nails, of course. And then here we are at the theater. Beautiful wife there. Luca's there. Avery's there. I'm over here repping the Dad Gang hat. Shout out Dad Gang. It was good stuff. And I would go see that again just by myself. I would obviously take the kids again because the coolest thing was seeing them so locked in. And right before that, I'm soaking it all in, and it's all very nostalgic. I'm like, man, I can't believe that the little Easter eggs that they would plant in the movie. And it was just, I took it all in, and then I kind of looked over and was like, I wonder how they're enjoying it. And they're just on the edge of their seat, super excited. Just like I thought. Luca's favorite character was Bowser Jr. Avery, seeing Rosalina, she was like losing her mind because she was also super powerful in the movie, and one of the main characters, so she got to see her a lot. And everything, all the action, all the funny, they were laughing, cracking up. It's just cool to see them growing up and really being able to react to things like real people. Since they are obviously real people. But like Shiloh, he didn't go with us because obviously he's about to be today. He's 18 months today. Whoa. I wonder if my wife realizes that. I should probably text her and let her know that. Or we'll just talk about it later. We'll talk about it later. It's fine. But yeah, so he stayed home with the mother-in-law, and we got to see that movie. And it was also at a really great movie theater. Never been there before. Over in Sherman, Texas. We live in Anna, so we made our drive out to Sherman, not too far, but I forget the name. I feel bad that I don't remember the name, but it was amazing. It had a bowling alley in there, a full arcade in there. Like like most movie theaters have a little arcade that you kind of go, off to the side of it. This thing was a full-blown arcade, a full-blown bowling alley. Inside the bowling alley, there was a golf simulator that you can reserve. Like it's a single bay that you can reserve, and you can just go with, I think, up to like 4 people. And that was really cool. We have some golf updates later that I'll get to. Very excited to talk about that. But yeah, really great place. Probably will be the new spot for movies. You can see there in the picture too, like they brought us our food. You can, little QR code you scan, order food, they bring it right to you. Really great stuff. So yeah, overall 10 out of 10. Definitely recommend. And hopefully we'll go see it again. Bringing us to our next update for the week. Easter was Sunday. Easter's always a lot of fun. And this is kind of the first time that we were able to do Easter with Shiloh actually old enough to have his own basket. So they all had the 3 baskets there that the Easter bunny brought. Very good stuff. Luca really wanted to be a fireman because of his boots, firefighter boots. So he had to break out the whole outfit that he wore the whole day. And we went to a friend's house, did another Easter egg hunt there. He wore it there. It was good times. He was like the life of the party too. It was really cool seeing his personality come out while they're doing the Easter egg hunt, and he's just freaking out and all the different things he's saying. It's like, bro, where are you getting all this stuff from? And everyone's just cracking up, having a good time. So really, really fun day. A little stressful too, but just getting everything set up. I had to kind of go around the front, and while they're eating breakfast, my wife got donuts, so they were eating donuts for breakfast. While they're doing that, I'm out in the front planting all the eggs everywhere. They're obviously getting antsy because they're like, we want to look outside and see where the Easter bunny left all the eggs. So I was on a time crunch. They're going nuts, so we're like getting overstimulated. Actually, that picture right there is Shiloh whacking me in the face with his bubble blower. So that was cool. That was like right before we left. No, that was right at the end of our egg hunt. And then they went inside and opened all the eggs, and it was this whole thing. But it was a lot of fun. Skirted the candy this year, and my wife had a really cool idea to do tokens. So I made tokens, went on Canva, made some different tokens that they can use for like a zoo day or a park day. One of them I did put candy. So we'll be able to go and get like a bag of candy or something like that. But definitely a win because we didn't have to plant a bunch of different candies, and then they're snagging on candy forever, and there's just a bunch of sweets in the house. So yeah, really fun day. A little stressful, but such is life, such is dad life, such is parent life. Really good stuff. What else do we do? Our tax adventure. Yes. So we went to go get our taxes done finally. The deadline is if you're watching this right now on the 7th, then you have 8 days, really kind of 7 because we're at the end of the day. But the 15th's the deadline. Go get your taxes done. We went and got our taxes done over in Quinlan. Great place. Great guy. Really knows what he's doing. Really knows how to find the ways to maximize your refund. And so we will be getting a good amount back. And that's perfect because we got some debt that we need to pay off. I talked about it a little bit last week, but I spent about 5 months laid off last year from August to from August to January. Just about, right around 5 months. And for a while we were doing all right. And then we got to that place where we had to start dipping into our savings and depleted all of that. So then we needed to start using the credit that we had available. So unfortunately that has put us back. We had just gotten to a place where we paid everything off, and now we're back pretty much in the same exact spot. So this is going to help us out quite a bit. We do need to get a larger vehicle because we also got into a car accident during that time between August and it was late August that happened, right after I got laid off. So that was fun. But since then we've been in need of a larger vehicle. So our refund should help us get closer to that goal, to achieving that goal. But we'll get there. Anyway, yeah, so really good outcome. But the process of it, because it was in Quinlan, we're coming from Anna, so it was like an hour plus trip. Mind you, like I just mentioned, we don't have a big car, and we have 3 kids, so they're taking up the whole back seat. There's 2 car seats, and then Avery's sitting in the middle. Luca's sitting in his, front facing, and then Shiloh's in the rear facing, and then Avery's in the middle. Shiloh's trying to kick her and is always trying to mess with her, pull her hair and stuff like that. Her and Luca are playing back and forth, but then they'll start fighting, but then they're playing again. And then Avery gets motion sick. She gets car sick on long trips. She just ends up getting car sick. The seatbelt's all tight. It was a journey. And the whole time, me and my wife are just trying to keep it cool. We're like, hey, we got a long way to go. We're trying to go get this done. We have more to do after we went and got our taxes done. We went to go see my wife's family and see her aunt's new house, and then go and have like a late lunch, early dinner type of thing, which was a great time. So much fun. Just so much driving, right? And having the 3 kids back there, and they're wow, are we close? Are we there yet? Like the quintessential, oh my God, car trip was what was happening. And we made it through. We did. I think I have more gray hairs, but it was all worth it because we are getting a good amount back. And I think that's what's important. Okay. Now on to the real important stuff, because when I tell you this, I still don't really know how this happened or what took over, but I got a golf update. Last week I was talking about how I was getting dialed in on my swing. Hand placement feels more natural. Really, it's the driver. That's when you can get a consistent driver swing down, I feel that levels up your game in a way that not a lot of other areas of the game can. Putting, absolutely. Your short game, being able to chip onto the green, go up and down, 100%. Yeah, that's great. I need to work on those things too. But being able to drive consistently and get a good 230, 250 yards in fairway, that's just gonna set you up, right? And so I was talking about my swing is getting dialed, my hand placement. I did figure something out that like you really have to. I'm lefty, so my right hand needs to be pretty much completely on top of the club, and then my trail hand, my left hand, needs to be pretty much on the bottom. And then when I did that, also ball placement was a big thing. I thought the ball was right on the inside of my heel. Turns out it was like right smack dab on it, lined up perfectly with it, which is a little too far forward. So made that adjustment, just really making small, minor adjustments, little tweaks, to where I felt like I have a comfortable, almost muscle memory like stance. And boy. Anyway, I haven't even shared the screen yet. So I played West Ridge, 18 holes. This is virtual. This is with the launch monitor, the simulated round. All that said, last week I played and I scored a 97. So that was consistent with the first time that I went and played live in person at West Ridge. I think last week I called it West Bridge, so that's my bad. But West Ridge Golf Course in McKinney, played, scored a 98, broke 100, was very excited. Not only did I break 100 this time, not only did I break 90, I broke 80. I ended with a 77. I don't even understand how that happened. But there were tons of different holes. I mean, you can see the scorecard there. I believe I birdied the what, 6 bogeys, and then everything else was par. And the big difference maker, the big factor that changed everything, the driver, because that was one thing that was very consistent, and my 3-wood. So like the fairway woods, being able to, without slicing the ball, being able to make full contact with the ball without creating a divot in the grass, and really just being able to sweep it right off the surface of the grass, especially if you're in the rough. But another club that prior to this round, mind you, I've been practicing, and again, things with the stance, things with ball placement, all of that, those clearly make a huge difference. But prior to this game, I would never use my 3-wood because I'd be scared to use it. I'd either slice the ball 160 yards to like 2 fairways over, or I would just top the ball and send it straight, maybe like 50 yards, which at that point, what are we doing? But yeah, another, 180, 190 yard carry, and then total distance going almost the same distance as my driver. So on like par 5 holes, I'm getting onto the green in 3. Never happened to me before. Again, I'm not like, I started playing golf in September. I think I picked it up naturally, and I maybe am just like athletic in general. I've played sports for a large part of my life, so maybe it just came naturally to the movements and things like that. But this was something that I was not expecting at all. I was waiting for the hole to come where I would just slice city, and have to, try to double back and triple bogey for like 4 holes in a row or something. Never came. And this is big for me. Big update. Maybe you don't care about that, but really big update for me. Moving on to our dad win. This one's going to be the quote that we all know and love. If you don't know it, then you probably know some variation of it. But my win for the week has been my attitude and my effort. Okay, there's a quote that there's 2 things you can control in life, and those things are your attitude and your effort. And this past week, probably exactly a week from when I recorded the last episode, which was the first episode, my attitude towards things that normally bother me and frustrate me, like going to work, being tired and having to take care of the kids. I listened back last week and it kind of sounded like I am just always frustrated with them. It's really minuscule compared to what it seems like. But, I guess I was just venting all of it last week. Anyway, my attitude towards those things that would normally get me frustrated, or I'd, lose my patience or something like that, like the trip to get the taxes done. Normally, I'd probably be snapping at everybody. 45 minutes into that car ride, I'd be losing it. But no, we were having a great time. I was like, you know what? We're not doing it. We are not having a bad time. None of us want to do this. None of us want to take this long trip. We do want to get our taxes done, and we do want to see my wife's family. But we don't want to make this drive. None of us want to be in this car. The whole reason we're doing this is to put us to a place. I was telling my daughter, because she was like really going in about how much she didn't want to be in the car anymore. And I was like, I get that. None of us want to be in here. If anything, we're doing this so that we can get one step closer to being able to get a car that's big enough to where you'll have your own row, and then you can be comfortable and we can take road trips and stuff like that. And she actually was like, huh, okay. Like, all right, yeah, so it's worth it now, huh? Now that you're getting your own row, I guess. But it was just like, wow, a good mind. If I wasn't in that mindset to think of that, and just if I wasn't calm enough to think in that moment, then I wouldn't have thought to say something like that, and I would have just been like, deal with it. I don't know. So yeah, attitude, effort, towards work. While I'm at work, I'm like, all right, might as well make the best of it. Enjoy that it's not super busy right now. I can kind of capitalize on some of that time to kind of do some research, learn things that will contribute to what I'm doing here. So yeah, just positive mindset, I guess. Positive attitude, trying to be more appreciative of a wifey over there, and I'll get more into that later. But yeah, so my win is more philosophical, if you will. I did mow the lawn today. So I was not able to put that into this slide presentation here, but I did mow the front lawn today, edged up, really, really nice. Really nice. And now it's already time to do the backyard again. So I think I'm on a rotation. I think I figured out how I'm going to do the rhythm of the yard. I'm not going to do both on the same day. That's what I used to do. I'm just going to do one week and then one the other, and then just kind of alternate. Yeah. Yeah. So that is also another win. But the other win that I had was pushing past fear. So kind of tying into attitude and effort. Really, I really noticed that. I feel like last week doing the first recording of this and how long I've been putting it off, wanting to do it, planning for it, doing research to make sure I feel prepared, and like, I don't know if I'm ready. What if no one likes it? All of those, all those things that you think of to talk yourself out of doing things that are hard. Just reminding myself that growth is on the other side of the discomfort. And really, I mean, the expectation I have in my head obviously is high. I have very high standards, and I think I'm also able to realistically acknowledge that, the first time you do something, it's probably not going to be very good. Second time you do it, it's probably not going to be very good. But if you can improve a little bit each time, regardless of what it is, I'm talking about a podcast that's going to be, serve as a funnel towards coaching for dads. That's really the thing that I'm wanting to get off the ground and get started. But the first few times I do it, I'm not going to overnight just win the lotto, right? But it's consistency. So being able to push past that fear of starting, it really unlocked something, right? And I think that's a huge win. Like, it's more than just a win for the week. It's kind of like a transformative kickstart moment where it's like, yes, I'm listening to the calling that God has been sending me for a long time and that I've been running from and ignoring. I've always been so close, right at the threshold of diving into it. And last week I feel like was the last just push that was like, just do it. And something about being live, I mean, makes it different. I don't have the time to overthink what I'm going to say. It's all just very off the cuff, authentic, very naturally who I am and how I present myself. And it's not rehearsed and all of these things. So big win. Good stuff there. Now I'm going to get into my dad loss. And I really don't like this dad loss, but it is what it is. We can't be perfect. A dad loss, kids in the driver's seat. Let's talk about it. I feel like that is a good literal and metaphorical way of talking about my dad loss. So I'll do the literal first. We went to have, again, late lunch, early dinner with my wife's family. All the kids were there. My wife's aunt, uncle, her dad, his wife, us, obviously. And, great time. Great to see everybody. It had been a little while since we'd seen everyone. We went to go see her aunt and uncle's new house that they're moving into. Beautiful place. And we're leaving. We're done with the meal. Everything was great. 54th Street. Shout out to you with pretty much everything on your menu. Slaps. So love that. But we're done eating. We're in the parking lot right by the car. My wife's going to put Shiloh in the back seat, in the car seat. And her and a few other people are like, yeah, go turn the car on, get the car started so that, cool it down, all that good stuff. Avery and Luca are playing by a tree. They're like hiding from my wife's dad and kind of like, doing what kids are doing. They're just doing what they're doing. I'm talking to the other grown-ups because when's the last time I spoke to a grown-up? I don't know. You tell me. So I'm just, taking advantage of the opportunity to speak to other grown humans and not have to do baby talk and all of those things. And all of us are just standing around, yucking it up, having a good time. And then all I hear is the car engine just revving. We all turn around and I realize, like, oh my God, they're in the front seat. Literally, they're in the driver's seat of the car with their foot on the gas. Fortunately, the car is parked. But oh my God. So I run over, and with all the adrenaline, fear, all the emotions welling up, I just start screaming for them to get out of the driver's seat. Not screaming. That's a little dramatic. But the way that I came over and was like, absolutely not, get in the back seat, all of that, scared them, right? So now they're crying and upset. I think it already scared them because it was Avery, I think, accidentally put her foot on the pedal. So she wasn't doing it on purpose. They were just there literally just hiding from my wife's dad. And her foot just pressed the gas, probably scared her. And then next thing they know, they turn around and I'm right there. I'm like, get out of the driver's seat. So they're telling me they're scared. And I'm like, yeah, good. You should be scared. This is scary. This is not something that you should be doing. And just, lost it. And the loss is that, I didn't have to handle it like that, obviously. And I've just felt bad after because they were kind of like shook up. If I had paused in that moment, I would have recognized like, oh, they're probably already afraid because they know, because we've had this conversation a million times, that you don't sit in the driver's seat, especially when the car's on. So they know that they shouldn't have been there. So they felt bad for that. Then on top of that, they stepped on the gas, revved the car engine, freaked themselves out, probably reminded themselves of like, oh my God, this is why they say don't do this. This is terrible. And then I'm telling them like, hey, if the car wasn't in park, you guys would have been in the middle of the road. And I would have lost my kids. And they're like, whoa, what? So I just like rocked their world with all of that. So yeah, I didn't have to handle it like that. I think that's the main part of the loss. The other part, the like metaphorical kids in the driver's seat thing, is sometimes I wonder if they're running things, like who's running the show here. And like, if we're all honest, your kids are teaching you more often than you're teaching them. But I don't like feeling as though I am not the tone setter and like the final say. It sounds weird to say the person in control, because I don't really need to be controlling in that sense. But as a parent, I think I need to be the one making the decisions, not the kids. And sometimes it doesn't feel like that. So that's like the metaphorical side of all of that. But the other loss, I forgot I put this. Here we go. Owning our finances and being more intentional about planning for our future. I hate this. I hate talking about this because I know that it's true. And lately I've just been having a really hard time keeping up with our expense report, like our budget, everything that we put together on our spreadsheet, and then just keeping track of it, accounting for things, and then not spending during the week. So budgeting ourselves and saying, hey, we have this much for the week. I think some of it is knowing that everything left over we should be putting towards our debt. So like that short-term pain, short-term loss or whatever for long-term benefit, because after X amount of months that we've paid down our debt, we'll be in a place where we no longer have to put such large amounts towards our debt, which will give us more room in our budget for like, little things and stuff that we want to do. But right now things are tighter because we're just trying to prioritize paying off debt. But where the loss comes in, and part of the ownership of finances, being responsible with our finances, sometimes I'm like, I just really want a Red Bull. Sue me, just really want a Red Bull. I literally don't get to do anything else. So I'm getting a Red Bull. And then when that happens too many times, and it's other things too, it's like, well, I want this little snack. Man, these Olippops that I've been drinking, they're so good. And I think the price is worth it. And they're like $2.50 a can. Might be a little bit more actually, like $2.60 or something like that. So, but they're so good. And they're healthy alternative to soda. Come on. Probiotics, all the whatever. This isn't an Olipop ad. It's actually another dad podcast that is sponsored by Olipop that made me start drinking Olipop and was like, oh my God, this is so good. And now here we are. I'm looking at one right now. It's delicious. Anyway, things like that. Little spending here and there. The things add up to where the budget that we had for our bills and everything starts to get wonky and messed with. And then every week we're like, man, where did all this go? And then it turns out, oh, we spent it. So being more responsible with that, that's where I feel like the loss is. And then planning for the future. If we had like an intentional conversation around what do we want 3 years from now to look like, I know that, things change and you can't really plan everything, but you can have something that you're striving towards. And we've talked about buying a house for a long time, but we've never really like ironed out, okay, these are real timelines for not only buying a house, but, we want to invest money, and how much do we want to invest, and doing the math of like, hey, long term, if we invest X amount for this much time at this percent, is that going to be something we can start thinking of for retirement? As I'm pursuing being my own business and not having like a W-2 9 to 5 stable thing, trying to think about like multiple streams of income and as being the like provider for the family, I just feel like I haven't been doing that enough. I haven't been focused on that enough because there's been other things going on. And if you feel like that too, hey, we can give ourselves grace and say we can't be doing everything at 100% all the time. But I think this is more of just like a reminder for me, maybe for you too, that time to start owning those finances again, and really carving out time to plan for the future, funding for the kids. Like each kid we want to have, something ready to go for them when they reach a point where they can, be on their own, and or if they want to go to college, whatever, just something for them that if we don't start now, like if not now, when? So let's get it going. And yeah, so that's the loss. We got to do better. We got to work harder in those areas. But I'm excited to talk about this lesson of the week, not only because it just brings me joy to talk about, but I know, sweet dear wifey, that you'll be listening to this or watching this at some point tomorrow, maybe, hopefully, I don't know. And you're going to hear me talk about this. So this is for you. My lesson of the week really is just that my wife's awesome. And behind every good man, which I like to think I am a good man, is an even better woman, which is my wife. Kristen, you are so much better than me, and I love you. But no, there are so many things throughout each day, the week, reflecting on like how long we've known each other and where I was when we first met to pretty much who she's like challenged me to become, and now who I am and what I'm capable of doing. All things that I feel like she helped me realize. And if you are a dad out there that has a partner that is like that, then you know what I'm talking about. It's hard to put all of it into words, but I'll give you some examples. Give you some examples of this week. On our trip to go get our taxes done, I'm, trying to keep a positive headspace. The kids are doing their thing as always. And I'm like, I need to just be patient, breathe. We're good. We'll make it. My wife puts on the Easter sermon that both of us were super excited to listen to. We wanted to obviously be there at church, but we couldn't because we had to go get our taxes done. And we didn't schedule or coordinate that accordingly. But she puts it on, and I'm not even thinking about that. And as soon as she mentions it, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, that's perfect. And so we're listening to the sermon on the drive. It is the perfect thing to be listening to put us in the right headspace of gratitude and appreciativeness. If you're looking for your Savior in a tomb, you're wasting your time. He's not there. Hard to be in a impatient and nasty headspace when you're listening to that kind of stuff. Yeah, so she does that proactively. Boom. Really just operating. and transform the drive, transform the perspective, the mindset, all of that. But then also from a larger scale, she's taught me to prioritize myself. A lot of these things that I'm doing and trying out for myself and testing and trying to work through, all are coming from being empowered to take the time to do it. Because a lot of the times, again, I don't know if you're like this, but I feel like I struggle with guilt a lot, to where I'm like, the things that I want to do and want to spend time pursuing and getting better at, like golf, like podcasting, like, starting a business, doing all those things, they require time away sometimes. Especially starting a business requires a lot of time away. And I have a really hard time doing that, because I know what kind of pressure that puts on her to be with the kids while I'm doing this thing. And at the end of the day, like, that's why I put this here too, that she handles all the hard stuff. Because at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing compared to parenting. No, bro. It's not hard. It's not harder. You're getting it's like, I feel like I'm getting the break all day. Mind you, like, I would much rather be home and helping out the kids and stuff. So it's not like I'm just yucking it up. I'm at work just like, bro, like, come on. Because I'd rather be home, or rather be maybe home spending time working on my own business and getting that started. There's like so many other things up in the air, things to prioritize. And I feel like I have to spend all of the time on the stuff that is nowhere near as taxing as having to look after the kids all day, while she is also working a full-time job, by the way. So she's working a full-time job and operating around the house, handling business, cleaning, doing laundry, cooking a lot of the times. That's one thing that I try my very best to own, is like, I'll come home and cook dinner, so you don't have to worry about that in addition to everything else. But sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes I come home and I'm gassed, and then she makes dinner. Like, man, don't be that great to where now I'm just like, God, I'm not even close. And it's not a competition, but you can't, I just have a hard time with knowing that she's doing all these things, and I'm like, I'm tired, and can't be present enough to like just look after the kids for a little bit. But that's where, shifting I think just spending 5 minutes in the car and shifting my brain a little bit would help. So that's something I want to start trying to do more. But yeah, man, she's just all over it. And the few times that I'm like, man, why are you acting like that? When I really think about it, I'm like, dang, you're pretty much always on it. Yeah, I just love her for it. So one thing that this makes me think about, and that I would probably pose to you all as dads, or if you're a wife listening to this, then sorry, bud, but she's gonna be asking you for some of this. Hey, what's going on here? Why is he talking about that? I don't see that from you. No, I'm just kidding. The lesson for me is, what are you doing? What are you being intentional about to recognize and appreciate your wife? I think that's something that I would like to start doing more. Maybe committing to owning, like cleaning, or owning a certain part of the house or something. I don't know. Maybe I hesitate to say like, hey, I'll take suggestions, because one of the things is like, wives don't want to have to tell us husbands what they want us to do. They want us to know and just do it. So yeah, so don't give me suggestions. I'll figure it out. I'll be responsible. I'll own it. I'll figure it out. But think about that. What are you doing to recognize and appreciate your wife? Is it maybe we do like one of those love languages things? Is she big on like words of affirmation or acts of service, or tangible gifts? Study your wife, become a PhD in your wife, and know what you can do to make her feel appreciated, valued, because babe, you are. I don't know what we'd do without you. Yeah, I don't want to find out what we'd do without her. So that's my lesson for the week. And I'll pause at this point, because if you are listening to the recorded version of this, the podcast version, on YouTube, whichever one, then I would love for you to take a moment and drop in the comments your win for the week. What was something that you felt like was an absolute W, that you were like, yes, I am the man? Where did you show up better than last week? maybe you're one of the few that listened to last week's episode and you actually did the challenge, and now you are back to give an update on what that challenge was. Would love to read that too. And then, or maybe just reflect on this for yourself. Scale of 1 to 10, how present were you this week? Maybe something to think about, and then challenge yourself to, I don't know, be a higher number next week. Maybe you can ask yourself each week, okay, this past week I was like a 5. All right, so what do I need to do to be a 6, be a 7? And then next week be like, okay, yeah, I'd say I was a 7. How can I be an 8? And just go from there. I don't know. But just drop your stuff in the comments. Again, you can shoot an email over if you want to ask questions or share something. Would love to shout it out on the episode. DadSignalPod@gmail.com. You can reach out to, again, that can be with questions, or it can be with something that you want to share, your own personal story or win or hack, something. You also see some things on the screen too if you're watching, but if you're listening to the podcast version of this, you can find in the description, the show notes, if you will, of the episode, some links there. One of them is going to be to, if you're looking, you can see on the screen, Dad's Daily Alignment Guide. This is a 5-minute, super quick daily reset that you can use anytime you're feeling rushed, you're feeling overwhelmed, pressure to deliver in all these different areas of life, you're feeling behind, and it's just all getting overwhelming. This is a 5-minute quick reset that you can feel whenever that happens. It is a free download that you can get. So I'll show that. I'll pop that up there with the link. But you can go to stan.store/DadSignalPod and download that completely for free. The other thing that's completely free for now is your very first one-on-one coaching call with yours truly. All right, so you can see that on the screen. If you're listening, that link is also in the show notes. That's also going to be stan.store/DadSignalPod. We will schedule, you can schedule 30 minutes with me completely for free to just see, allow me to get a good feel for what you're trying to accomplish, what you're struggling with, what your goals are. And we can talk through a quick plan. If it's something that you want to continue, then we can set up coaching. But that is the area of my life where I derive the most passion, and where all of this experience comes from, is being able to offer that one-on-one as a coach with you, to help you become a better dad. That's helped me become a better dad, to gain some relationships, all of those good things. So just wanted to pause for a moment, spotlight those things. You can find the links in the description of the video, in the show notes of the episode, and we'll keep it moving, because this is about as close to an advertisement as I'm going to get right now until we have sponsors or things that we'll actually advertise. On that note, we're going to get into our breakdown. So this is going to be the development topic of the week, and we're back. Boy, crazy stuff. Yeah, so camera overheated. I guess it's going to just take its time to cool off, but that's all right. We'll just work at it. We'll just work at it right here. So we were going to get into our breakdown. This is going to be being a leader in your home, core values and setting culture. So the premise of this came from, thinking about how much energy and effort I put forth at work when it has to do with, delivering a presentation or consulting with leaders or whatever it is that I need to do on that given day. It's a lot easier for me to do what I need to do to crush it at work, to do a great job, overperform, show out, do all the things. Everyone loves you. Wow. All that good stuff. But then when I get home, I'm like phoning it in. And I don't have the energy anymore, and I'm tired, and my kids want to play, but I'm like, I don't feel like it. So, and that's like, but who you are at home, the leader that you are for your kids, means so much more, right? Than the work that you're doing at your job. You're not developing your kids at work. You're not setting their minds up for when they need to, join the workforce and when they grow up and all those things. That's so much more important than the work that we're doing in our 9 to 5. And yet we put all of our energy and effort towards that, and then we don't have any energy for what really matters when we get home. So I thought about it and, was just thinking that real leadership is fatherhood, first of all, parenthood, right? But leadership means showing up in your role. And, we teach that at work. We teach that all the time, that as a leader, as a people manager, you have these roles that you need to play, especially when there's things changing and a lot of movement and shifts and blah, blah, blah in corporate workplaces and all these different environments that you work in. Things change and move and shift so fast. So you have to be, playing the right role at the right time. But it's the same thing for a parent, same thing for a dad when you're at home. You need to be able to fill your role, right? And so there's 3 roles, first of all, that I feel like we need to understand before we even look at, what are these pillars for being a leader in your home. And so the first role is a culture setter. So you are the head of the household, so they say. So what does it feel like to live in your house? Do you know? Do you know what it feels like? Have you asked? Thinking about it like that, I'm like, no, I haven't. I don't really know. I think I've asked before. I think I've asked my wife once, what is it like being around me? What is it like living with me? And fortunately, her answer wasn't nearly as bad as I was like preparing for. But that's probably something you should look into, is, being able to ask, what is it like to live in this house? And just think about it from your kid's perspective, from your wife's perspective, from your perspective. How do you feel living in your house, in your family? And then, how do you think your family feels? And what are you doing about that? What tone are you setting for people to feel comfortable or at ease or safe, whatever it is, or to make sure they're not feeling anxious or paranoid or on their toes or walking on eggshells when they're home? You're setting that culture, right? The other role is the standard carrier. So you're like the example, and you're the enforcer's a bit extreme, but you're the one making sure that things are being followed regardless of feeling or mood or anything like that. There are standards that are in place, values that we need to fall back on. So being able to answer what's acceptable versus what's not. Like, what's just not going to fly, and what are some things that, hey, I get it based on the situation, that's excusable because, it's you're upset. It's okay to be upset. And then what are those things that it's like, hey, regardless of how we feel, that is never something that we do, right? Luca for Easter the Easter bunny got him a laser tag set, little setup, and really, really cool. We got the batteries for it and everything, got it set up. And so the first day he was using it by himself, and he's just, pointing it. It makes noise every time you shoot it and stuff. So he's not actually playing, but he's just kind of shooting it around. The second day, the batteries came. So I put the batteries in the other gun and the other vest. And so him and I are playing against each other. And of course, old shoot from the hip, old John Wayne over here, I just started blasting him, and I beat him. What do you want? What do you want from me? I beat him. And then I beat him like 2 or 3 more times. And, I'm like, hey, let's play again. And every time he's shooting, he's pointing somewhere away. He's pointing up or down, or, he's chasing after me. So I'm like, if you chase after me, I'm going to turn around and run. And then my back's to you. You can't hit my vest. You got to play in a way that we stay facing each other, so that when you shoot, you can point it at my vest, and that's how you get points. And he's just shooting it everywhere. So I'm like, buddy, you got to point it, aim. You got to point the front of the gun where my vest is, so that it'll register, and then it vibrates and it takes a point away from me, and it gives you a point. So he starts getting frustrated, turns it off. And now, you don't know too much about me, maybe, if you're just watching this for the first time. But if you know me, one of those things as a standard in our house is that we do not give up on stuff like that. We don't just quit because it's hard. And so that was a rough conversation for him, but it was a moment where it was like, hey, you're frustrated because you can't hit my vest every time, and that you You keep losing? It's like, yeah, that's why I'm frustrated. Like, all right, hey, I get it. It's okay to be frustrated, but you still want to keep playing, right? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, guess what? You just turned it off, which means the game's over now. You ended the game because you turned it off. Now all the points are gone. And this is why we need to be able to control ourselves and not give up when we get frustrated. So then he gets even more upset because now the game's over. I'm like, hey, I know, I get it. Hey, yep, I know. Why don't we take a break? Let's just pause. And then we, had to sit down again later and talk about it. And it was like, we don't give up, right? Because if you didn't give up in that moment, gun would still be on. We'd still be going back and forth. You just need to keep trying. You're not going to get any better if you give up anytime it gets hard. There's going to be so many things in your life that are going to be hard, and you're just going to have to figure it out. And we can help you. I'm here to help you, but I can't help you if you just throw in the towel and give up. So, standard carrier, what's acceptable, what's not. In our house, giving up, not okay. We're not giving up. We can be done with something, be like, I'm not, this isn't for me. Fine. Don't give up though. It's like eating. It's like not wanting to eat food that you've never tried before. That's another thing for dinner. Sometimes we'll make food and they're like, ew, I don't like that. Like, I know that you don't know that because I know that you've never eaten it before. Eat it. Try one bite. If you don't like it, I'm not going to make you eat it. You're not going to eat anything else. That's what's for dinner. So I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not going to force you to eat. Like, our generation growing up was you sit there, you sit at the table and you don't get up until your food's done. And so, I would sit there forever. I'm not, my kid he's not going to have to sit there the whole time. If you don't want to eat, don't eat, but don't ask me for any more food. You can go to bed and you'll be all right. You'll have a good breakfast. That's usually what happens is they'll be like, I'm so hungry. Like, yeah, you're not going to starve. You can have a big breakfast tomorrow. You'll be all right. And so what's acceptable, what's not. That's something that you need to establish in your home. And the other role, I think, is just you're your wife too, but both of you as parents, but you also as the dad, you're the emotional anchor because you need to anchor for your kids and for your wife a lot of the times. And so you need to be able to answer that question. Are you stable or are you reactive? Hopefully the answer is stable, but our goal is to be stable. The one that is always level, not always, but can keep a level head. The one that everyone's looking to as like the temperature gauge of like, all right, should we be concerned or are we good? If you're calm, chances are everyone else is going to be calm. But if you're on edge and you're freaking out, I notice whenever I'm on edge, stressed, cranky, everybody seems a little off. The whole house is off. And you need to recognize like how important it is that you fulfill those roles to where you can be stable, even if things aren't okay, right? But you're able to keep a level head because it keeps everyone kind of treading water until things are a little better. So those are the roles first is like, let's get those down. From there, these are the pillars, right? So the pillars of leading your home as the head of your household, as the dad, as the papa bear. These are the pillars that you need to remember and think about as you're, setting the tone and establishing what your household looks like. First pillar, presence over provision. Most of the time we feel like as dads that our sole job is to just provide, to work, to make money, so that we can, afford bills, groceries, take everyone out, make sure that people can get what they want, toys, all the things, go to school. And that's it, right? Our job is to just make sure everyone has what they need. But that's not, we're there for more than that. Our kids need our time and our presence, not just our money, and not just the things that we're able to do for them, but they need our attention. Right? If you can remember thinking about your life as a kid and what you cared more about, it wasn't the things It was the times that you actually got to spend time with your parents and not be in trouble, but that you're enjoying your time, you're watching TV together, you're out playing at the park, something like that. Those are the things that you think about that you're like, man, fond memories. It's not the time that I went to Walmart and my mom let me pick out an action figure. That's kind of neither here nor there. It's cool in the moment, but then it's gone. So your kids need your time, not just the things that you're able to get for them. And it doesn't have to be a lot either. Like that's what I feel like stresses me out sometimes. So I'm like, I don't have enough time in the day to juggle all these different things that I have to do with work and trying to start a business and spend time with my wife and also spend time with each kid because there's so many of them now. There's 3 of them. And I have to have I get to have a dynamic with each of them, but I like blow it out of proportion in my mind thinking that I need to spend hours and hours with each of them and then hours all together. Just start with like 15 minutes of like one-on-one time, but like really connected. So 15 minutes one-on-one, no phone in a different room. And you're just intentional engagement. You're locked into whatever it is they're wanting to do for the next 15 minutes. It's what they say goes. Obviously, like boundaries, but don't be the like, no, we can't do that because of this. Or like, let's not do that. Let's do something else. Whatever they want to play with them. Whatever they want to do it with them. If they want to read a book together, fantastic. If they want to like watch a show together and talk about it while they're watching it, great. But whatever it is, put your phone away. Intentionally engage in that moment with them and then make it a routine. Maybe it's like the wind down before bed after dinner that you're like cleaning up together, or it's bath time, or it's, something that you can do regularly to where it just becomes part of the daily rhythm and it doesn't feel like something that you have to put forth so much energy to make happen. The second pillar is emotional intelligence. So if you want a refresher on that, you can go watch last week's episode. It was on emotional intelligence from the perspective of fatherhood. But the second pillar of leading in your house is being the essence or like the action of emotional intelligence. So there's really 4 or 5 kind of like foundational pillars of emotional intelligence. For our sakes here, we really only need to focus on these 3, and 2 of them have to do with you. So the first one is self-awareness, being able to answer that question of like, what energy am I bringing home? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? Am I hungry? Did I eat anything? Those kinds of questions, being aware enough of what's happening inside of your brain and inside your body to say, ooh, I'm coming home and I was bored all day, which was frustrating because I wanted to be home and get things done. So now I'm bringing frustration home, where instead of kind of doing the second thing that it says, self-regulation, it's being able to regulate that, being able to pause before reacting. We talked about a framework last week called pause, name, choose, where you pause, whatever, you remove yourself from the situation if you need to, but you take 5 minutes to just kind of, take a breath. You name what it is that you're feeling and what's happening. I'm overstimulated, or I'm frustrated, or I'm getting cranky because I haven't eaten anything and now everything's really loud and it's starting to give me a headache and I'm freaking out. And then choose, all right, how do I want to show up right now? I don't want to show up mean, but I also don't feel like I have a choice because everything's going crazy. You do have a choice in that moment. You can choose to let your emotions get the best of you, or you can pause, name it. Be like, okay, I see what's happening. I know why this is happening. I don't need to let this be the thing that controls the situation. I can say, although I feel this way, I don't have to take it out on everyone else. I'm going to go get something to eat, and then I'm going to take 5 minutes to go sit in the garage, do what I got to do, right? So regulate those emotions. Those are the 2 real big ones. Empathy is the other thing. So leading in your home means having self-awareness, being able to regulate the things that you are aware of, and then having empathy to see your child's reality, see the perspective that they're looking at things from. Because a lot of the times, I'll just speak for myself, the things that I'm like right on the edge of getting frustrated with, and then it maybe pushes me over, are things that from their perspective are just innocent, like they're genuinely curious about something, or, they're still just trying to figure out their boundaries. That's especially for my kids at the age that they're at. They're like testing the waters and seeing what's okay and what's not. And so now is the time more than ever for me to set those standards and be the example and teach them what's okay and what's not okay, by also seeing things from their perspective and being able to deliver the message in a way that they can actually receive it, and not in a way that just makes them feel bad because dad's disappointed. In reality, a lot of the things that we expect them to do, they don't know how to do yet. Their brain hasn't formed that much yet. So have empathy for that and recognize that. Emotional intelligence in action. That's pillar number 2. Pillar number 3, this is the big one: vision and direction. So in a nutshell, leaders bring direction. If you think about leaders at work, leaders in culture or whatever, global leaders, if you will, they're supposed to bring direction so that things don't drift and fall apart. Your role as a leader in your home is to bring direction so that your home life and your family doesn't drift and things don't start to kind of fall apart. Like what I was talking about with my loss for the week, in terms of like owning finances and planning for the future and having those things concrete and everyone's aware of. We know what we all know what we're working towards, and we can do that collectively. That's what you're supposed to do. That's one of the jobs. It's one of the roles as a dad. And so that, begs the question, what are the values that define your family? You should be able to answer that question, right? And know, like, well, it's these things. These are the tangible things that define our family. One really cool and fun thing that you can do as a family is sit down and create those values together. Schedule like a night for everyone to sit down and like, what are some things that are important to us? Let the kids get involved and give their answers. Get the wife involved, talk about, hey, what do you think what do you find important and want to make sure that we're all always thinking of and trying to aspire to be, and write them down and then put them somewhere that you can see. Even if that's one of the things that we used to do, is put sticky notes of different like affirmation type of things and put them all over the house. I used to have a bunch on the bathroom mirror, and then on the wall as you're walking towards the bed, in the office, places that you'll be regularly, that you can kind of look and see that reminder there and be like, oh yeah. And it's just a quick moment of pause where you're thinking about and being intentional about the version of yourself that you want to be, or the family that you want to be. So we have our family values framed in our living room right on the wall. So every time you walk into that room, you're seeing love, you're seeing resilience, integrity, gratitude, all of these different things that we would consider to be our family values, that if you break us down to words, we're a family that loves, we're a family that has integrity, we're a family that has faith, we're a family that is resilient. And all of those values tie back to a Bible verse that we have right beneath the word too. So it's nice. It's like an aesthetically pleasing thing there. One of the frames broke. The love frame broke, of all things. And it was me that broke it. I'm just outing myself. No one asked, but it was me. So we need to get a new frame for that, but that'll complete it. But for now, it still looks good. And there's a good amount there for us to look at. And sometimes I'll just stand there and read them and be like, yeah, I need to work on that. I need to be better at that. And repeating them often. And just in your head, just kind of replaying them over and over, so that it becomes part of your psyche, part of your nature, but really establishing vision and direction for your house. That is pillar number 3. And then pillar number 4 is just consistency over intensity. What that means is avoiding the big mistake that we all make all the time, where we get these bursts of motivation to do these monumental things and then no follow through. That's been me for years. All of these different things that I get into and want to start. But granted, it might be part of my ADHD. Who knows? It is. But bursts of motivation, and then just kind of 2 weeks after, I'm like, whatever. The novelty is worn off. I'm on to the next thing. But being consistent especially as a father, and like the example that you're setting for your kids in your house. What are the small repeatable things that you can be more intentional about? Is it the bedtime routine? Is it making sure that everyone's eating dinner together, that like when that time comes, you're not just feeding the kids and then you and your wife are taking that opportunity to just jump on the couch or something like that, but you're all eating together, all right, and being able to do a daily check-in and talk about how things were. What was your favorite part of the day? What was something that you didn't like or that you wish went different? Those are things that you can repeat every day and just be intentional about those small little moments where over time, it might not feel like a lot, but over time, those are the things that your kids tell their kids about and tell other people about when they're talking about who their parents were. And they're like, yeah, my dad was awesome. Like, he always made sure that he read me a book and tucked me in. And, we made sure that we always had dinner together. And some of the best conversations I had, things I've learned were, at my dinner table, those kinds of things that they leave a mark on your family. And all it takes is those little small, you can do it every day. It just builds a pattern, builds a routine. It's almost like Atomic Habits, the book by James Clear. He talks about just being 1% better each day, and that it's not about the big things. It's called Atomic Habits for a reason. It's the small little things that you do consistently over time that end up changing your life and making all the difference. So those are the big four pillars. And just to wrap up, trying to avoid these pitfalls as the leader of your home, things that are presented to us all the time that we just need to be intentional about actively avoiding them. One of them, the first one is being physically present, but mentally you're gone, mentally absent. So talking about being presence over provision, doesn't mean that you physically are there. It means that you physically and mentally, you are present with your family. They are, the priority in that moment. And you're not just there, but thinking about all the other things that you have to do. That's like, I've said it before, but 20, 30 minutes of intentional present time with your kid and then hop into the next activity does more for them than you being there for 2 or 3 hours, but you're on your phone and you're just kind of checked out, but your body's there. So you can say, no, I'm here. I'm present. So be mentally present just as much as you're physically present. That's the goal. Avoid the pitfall of just kind of checking out when you're there. The other thing to avoid, leading with frustration instead of intention. And this can be tough because we deal with a lot of frustrating things and, between work and the attitudes and all of the other things that pop up and budget and finances and dealing with life, and you're getting older and you're like wondering, what are you doing with your life? And so there's so many existential questions and things to deal with that it can be hard not to default mode show up frustrated and just kind of irked all the time. But that's just where the intention comes from, that it's like I always have a choice. I can choose to show up a different way, and it's harder, but most of the time the things that are better for us are harder to do, at least at first. And then, like we were saying before, with being consistent, just to avoid the inconsistencies, but this specifically in terms of the standards that you set in your home. So a lot of the times, like, we'll change rules and stuff based on how we feel. We'll start off really strong with like, hey, no screen time. We're only doing TV for this little pocket of time after lunch or whatever. And then, that mood changes. We make that rule because we're like frustrated with how our kids are acting. We're like, you know what? Taking away screen time. And then that mood passes and we're like, whatever. And then this kind of leads into the last thing of like outsourcing leadership, outsourcing your parenting by using screens or by using school or something to shape and form your kids. Those things are there to supplement and help. You are the one that's responsible for forming your kids. And it's tough sometimes leaning on Disney, leaning on Bluey and all of the go-to shows as something to occupy the kids' time while you just get 5 minutes to lay down and close your eyes. It's tough. So I mean, I'm no one to say that screens should never be on, because we use them. We use them maybe more than we should, but that's why they're common pitfalls, right? They're things to try your best to avoid, because they pop up a lot and they're very tempting. So those would be the main ones. I think the way to wrap us up and get into our challenge for the week is to pick one of those pillars. So again, presence over provision, emotional intelligence and action, vision and direction, or consistency over intensity. Pick one of those pillars, make that the focus of the week. Try to have an intentional moment each day based on whatever pillar you're choosing. And next week we'll come back and we'll see in the comments, maybe in an email, right? To DadSignalPod@gmail.com, or drop it in the comments. Spotify, you can drop a comment. YouTube, drop it in the comments. Would love to hear how this challenge goes for you. And we'll pick it up again next week. So we've wrapped up for episode 2. It has been such a pleasure. As always, have a great rest of your week. Watch this back if you need to. Remember, you can visit stan.store /DadSignalPod. You can get the daily alignment guide. You can also schedule a free call. Nothing to lose. You get to talk to me. You get to talk to me live for 30 minutes. That's great. We'll have fun, if nothing else. But until then, we'll talk soon. We'll see you next week for next week's episode.